I wanted to cover the latest installment in Netflix, a movie called Extinction. Now, on the surface, this movie wasn't too complicated to decode, which is why I don't have any specific scenes for you, because it was pretty basic. And this is kind of new. Normally, this stuff is steeped in occult symbolism, but it was almost like they did it on purpose, because they wanted you to focus on the plot of this film on the family. Now, one thing I did notice is how the family behaved much differently than a typical family would behave in a situation of an alien invasion, which is what this film is all about. But there is a plot twist to this, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But basically, what you notice is that the typical oh my gosh moments where the child is crying and it's like, why aren't the parents telling the child to like be quiet, the aliens are just around the corner? Or the child runs back to get their parent and gets blown up with the parent, nobody stops her. Or they turn the flashlight on while the aliens are in the same room. Moments like that is what you notice. It's not typical human behavior, but they exaggerate the emotional aspect of these choices, and that it is based off of emotion, and it's heightened and it's exaggerated and hyperbolized so that you believe that these people are just real human beings who just love one another. And that's why they make these seemingly these choices that seem to not make any sense. They get them killed and get them in compromising situations through love, right? And then you get to the plot twist of the film and you figure out what and why that they, did that. And it was because these aren't humans at all. They're the aliens. The invasion happens from human beings trying to take back Earth after their creation of androids had basically run amok, taken over the world, and forced humans off the planet and onto Mars. Now, there are so many different levels of deception on this. First of all, of course, I don't believe Mars exists as the planet that we think it is. I don't think it's accessible. I think it's probably much smaller than we could ever imagine and much closer than we could ever imagine. In fact, I believe that what we see up in the sky is inside the firmament with us, along with the sun and the moon. And they can't get past the firmament. And these places can't be landed on. They may even just be reflections or light sources, projections from within the firmament and outside the firmament. We could be living in a giant snow globe or a giant disco globe in which there are just images of things up there that we're seeing. Now, these are just my personal thoughts based on my research. No need to get divisive and have arguments and big fights about is the earth flat or round. This is what they want. They want us all divided and fighting with each other on these types of topics so that we can never come together. But what I did notice about this is that they are doing their darndest to interweave and mix synthetic emotion with real emotion to confuse you to the point where you will accept that an inanimate object of high technology could actually be feeling something. That's what they want. That is the main idea and theme behind Extinction. They want you to believe that these androids are going to be real. And I believe where all this is headed is they want to download your consciousness, or that's what they're going to tell you is happening. They're going to tell you your consciousness is being downloaded, but it's going to be like a giant smoke and mirrors magic trick. It's going to be like literally a hall of mirrors. It's going to be a deception. And it's not going to be you at all inside that android. It's going to be something that walks and talks and acts like you, but it's not going to be you. Your soul goes back to God. And so that is maybe the deception, and that's why God said in the last days, he had to cut those days short because there was no flesh left. And I believe we're going to have basically a bunch of talking, parroting, synthetic humans that look like humans, but that aren't really humans in any sense of the word. So that's what Extinction was all about. Thought I'd do a quick run through on it for you guys. There was nothing really profound in it. There were a couple scenes where his wife gets shot. Of course, she's an android, but they don't know it because their brains were erased. They opted, many of them, to erase their memory of previous human incursions on the planet and all the death and destruction that had happened so that they could try to live some semblance of a normal and regular life. So they had their brains wiped. And other androids decided they were going to keep their memories so they could prepare for the next wave of battle. So that is where we end up. We end up in right during one of those waves of battle where the humans are trying to take back Earth, right? And so the guy's wife gets shot, and the only way to save her is to basically hook her up to him like an umbilical. And they take a cord and they stick it in her wound, her side wound. Of course, that's a reference to Adam and Christ, but it's all in reverse. Because the man sticks his umbilical in his chest, connects it to his wife, saves her life, right? So it's almost like the man coming out of the woman's side instead of the woman coming out of the man's side, which is what it was in Eden. And then at the end of the film, finally, the final deception, and it says basically if androids and humans could understand each other, we could put an end to this war, because the androids are treated like immigrants or secondhand citizens who then take over out of necessity, is what they want you to believe, because they were discriminated against. See how they twist and turn everything? All these social issues we're dealing with immigration, and they manufacture this hate towards immigrants when there really is none. This is all manufactured by the media. People generally get along, but because of socioeconomics and politics, they cause people to have these feelings, this Hegelian dialect, to hate the other side through media propaganda. That's what it is. And that's on display here with Extinction, because you're led to feel sorry for the androids. They're just defending themselves against hate and bigotry, right? And if we could all just get along, we could stop the war. So they're pushing the Hegelian dialect, left versus right, immigrant versus citizen, but they're also pushing that transhumanism agenda. Now, for many of you that come to this channel, you probably wonder, why do I cover all media stuff? Well, lest we forget, 99% of people are still watching this stuff. And those that come in my channel, I appreciate the fact that you're awake, but we still have a lot of work to do. Until the other 99% understand what they're looking at, there will always be work to do decoding this stuff. Because one by one, people will see the hidden agenda in these films. And we're not just calling out basic symbols. We're talking about repetitive themes and pre-programming and deception that they're trying to convince you of over time. They're socially modifying your behavior and your thoughts through this media programming. And once people wake up to that, then we've won another 0.25% or 0.5%. But until the day where a majority of people understand that that's all media is for, that's all entertainment's for, you guys. It is programming. Make no mistake, all of it. And those of you that have already woken up to it, at least you can understand what you're looking at. Take care and be safe, you guys.